Hey, what's up, guys? So, I'm gonna preface this video by saying I don't know fuck all about the government in terms of just like macroeconomics or deficits or barely any politics and shit. So, come at me if you dare, because I won't know shit. But I've talked about this topic with my family, and I've actually done a little bit of research on what the government spends our money on and how much we make, and just the cost of things. But in this video, because I'm in America, I can say this shit without being killed. Just want to talk about how I fucking hate the government, as well as other establishments in America, like the healthcare system, and all. But that's for another video or whatever. But for this video, I want to focus on the government and how I think the government are a bunch of fucking dumbasses who unironically know just as much about solving major problems as I do, but they're actually employed to do it and they don't do shit. So I just wanted to talk about how America, people say it's getting better, and the data report is like reporting that we're better off, I mean, standard of living wise, than like, I guess, 100 years ago. But Gen Z and Gen Alpha are facing like generational fucking bullshit. So I've just been talking about this topic with my family and just pondering and just like talking about it with AI and watching YouTube videos on it and talking about it with friends. So I was just like, dude, the government could do so much good shit. Like, we could do so much, but we just don't give a fuck. Like, when I say we, I mean the government. Like, we do a decent amount. Like, we act like we're like solving problems and shit, and we have made things better. But I think it's just not enough. Like, this might sound entitled, but I think just if we just put all our differences aside and just worked with, I don't know, we need to change some shit because Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's only getting harder. Like, I think 40% of Gen Alpha is living with their parents because you just can't afford to, like, live outside of your home. Like, inflation's fucking crazy. I just spent, like, $130 at the grocery store for barely enough food for a week. Like, and I'm just talking about, like, good quality food, like, high quality, like, organic food or whatever. And people are like, oh, you should just eat like rice and beans fucking until you make like $10,000 or like, bro, I don't agree with that shit. Like, I agree with being frugal, but I don't agree with just like having a really shitty standard of living until you actually make it big and now you can afford to actually eat ground beef and fucking all this other healthy shit, eggs and blah blah blah, which is like, it shouldn't be like that. I think it should be, you should have a stand. I don't know if a UBI is the answer, but like, you should, everyone over the age of 18 with or without a job should be able to afford basic shit. Hot take, I know, get a job, you lazy motherfucker. It's like, bro, no one hires Gen Z anymore. No one hires Gen Z, which is like, we have the worst job market in probably human history besides like the 2008 bullshit and like the Great Depression. But like, no one hires Gen Z. People fire Gen Z within months. No one does training anymore. You need 35 years experience for a basic job. And rent is fucking crazy. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have good income, but like, this apartment that I'm in right now, it's my first time ever moving out. It is like, I didn't do enough research before moving out. And when my family saw this apartment, they're like, bro, what the fuck did you pick? Like, the systems, like the burners and the dishwasher and the kitchen areas. My dad said he's seen the same kitchen like in the 1980s, bro. In this apartment, I'm splitting rent with a roommate, and it's like 1650 for like this. My room is pretty chill. Like, my room is pretty nice. I don't know if you know. Like, my room is generally pretty good, but the kitchen is fucking small, very cramped. Me and my roommate can't be in the kitchen at the same time. It's just too small. It's just like not worth the money is what I'm saying. I mean, I'm grateful for an apartment. Don't get me wrong, but it's like to be paying 1,000 a month for like a dog shit apartment is just wild to me. Like this apartment in like the 80s would be like $300 or like 250. No bullshit. Which hasn't kept up with inflation at all. But I guess my skits are ass. I gotta get back on point. But I think the government should do way more for the people. I mean, they always talk about, oh, the government does like welfare, and then Elon Musk gives out a fuck ton of money, but it's just like, bro, when we were in COVID, like we did shit, like we put our heads together, and we like, bro, we need a vaccine, and we got a vaccine in record time with Operation Warp Speed. But it's like, for common problems, like 70% of Americans are paycheck to paycheck. As far as the last time I looked at the stats, were like majority of Gen Z has a fuck ton of debt, and they're paying like hundreds of dollars a month to repay their whatever degree they got, whether it be like computer science or they went to law school or they were a doctor or whatever the fuck they were. Like they have so much debt and they just can't afford to live. The car payments are crazy as fuck. Like new cars and used cars are equally expensive. Besides, unless you get like I guess you could get like a Corolla or something. But just in general, everything's so expensive, and then no one really teaches you how to manage your money like that, which I think is deliberate. We could easily have a whole year of class, like Frugal 101 or some shit in high school. They're at all the high schools, but the government just didn't include that. Like where you learn about taxes and budgeting and shit like that. But that's not an actual thing. You have to go out of your way to learn taxes and how to set a budget and shit. And it's just like it shouldn't be like that. I think you should be taught that as well. So just the government is fucking like so annoying. They don't really do much to help you. You can't afford anything. Degrees don't even mean shit anymore because like everyone has a degree, so you're competing with people that have degrees, and then even degrees and experience don't mean shit anymore. Like entry level jobs require fucking 2+ years of experience to get, and then no one wants to train you. The only way you get jobs now is with either you're a fucking goat to where you're like a unicorn, which in the job market is like, oh, you know like a million languages and you're like insanely proficient and you're like a top dog, or a connection like your dad works at the company or your uncle works at the company or your sister works at the company. Like that's the only way you get jobs now. So in summary, the government needs to do more. I don't know if we need like UBI or we just need to find a way to just give people over the age of 18, if they want to move out, they can, and they're not gonna. I'm not saying like, oh, everyone should be able to live like kings because obviously it's not economically feasible, but just like the bare minimum. Like I think Gen Z should be able to do what I'm doing now with no job. Like I get money and my rent is fairly cheap for my, and I spend like I budget like a motherfucker. I spend good amount of money on food, the gym, and I know what I'm spending. But like in my opinion, you shouldn't need a full-time job to afford. I know that sounds like, oh my god, it sounds so fucking entitled, but that should be a baseline. And then a job can only accelerate your standard of living, which I know sounds like to boomers that shit sounds like black magic, but like I think a job should only be optional if you want to like advance your life and be one of like the great ones. Like you want to have really good standard of living, and you want to have an extra car. You want to go on a vacation. You want to have all these things. But for like a frugal lifestyle, I think you shouldn't need a job. That might be a hot take. Holy shit! Are you saying that people? Blah, blah, blah? Yeah, I am saying that. I think you should be able to afford a basic apartment, basic food, basic shit, basic whatever to with no job. Hot take, but yeah. I think that should be possible. And then a job just like accelerates your standard of living. Like a job, because the thing about jobs is people work a full-time job and can barely afford shit anyways, which is fucking retarded. Like in a lot of like major cities, it's even worse in like blue states and cities or whatever. But like to get a full-time job, if you have a full-time job, especially now, you can't afford shit. Even with a full-time job, you can't always afford like basic shit. So like, if you can't even get a job, like you're fucked basically. You have to live with your parents, blah blah blah. And if you don't have a good relationship with your parents, it's a fucking miserable existence, which I think no one should have to go through. Like there should be a good amount of suffering in just life to better you, but I don't think people should be forced to live with like abusive piece of shit parents or abusive ex. Like I think my idea would solve like so much shit. Like think about it. Why do people stay in abusive relationships for the most part? It's either a woman that's financially dependent or a partner in general that's like financially dependent on each other to where they're fucked without that person. So it gives more free reign for that person to abuse them, or they're like afraid of like a dynamic. They're afraid of like getting hit or whatever. They're afraid because they don't have the money. They don't have power to like stand on their own 2 feet. If my thing came to fruition, that I know obviously that wouldn't solve abuse, but like that'd solve a good portion of abuse. Is because abuse is always a power dynamic. And a lot of the time a power dynamic is either they have more money than you and they hold you hostage, or they have more physical power than you and you're just codependently attached to them in like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. So that people don't have the money to move out is would solve like a lot of abuse bullshit too, where you could just like, oh, I have the money now. I don't have to live with this fucking piece of shit. And you just like secretly like move out, like low key, and then you just like have an apartment. And then you just like block them. I don't know, maybe that's like a retarded way of thinking, but I think that would solve that problem, and then it would also solve the problem of, oh, I have to live with my abusive family that like beats my ass and says I'm like worthless or whatever. When I'm trying like my hardest to get a job, but like they were like, oh, they're shitting on me for it or whatever. So in that case, you could just go fuck off to like your family and just leave, and now you're on your own with like a basic house, and you can have a decent standard of living until you actually get a job, and then you can accelerate your life. So like, I don't know if I'm sounding like a fucking socialist who just doesn't want people to work, but like, I think in general, people should be able to afford shit. People should, I mean, a hot take, people should be able to afford like basic shit, healthcare, food, fucking an apartment, even a studio apartment, any of that thing, like without a job. Without a job. They shouldn't have to have a job. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this hot take. Or why, if you, obviously, I barely know shit, explain what I'm saying isn't economically feasible, and I'd love to have a discussion. Thank you. Have a good one.